Sex and the City is the continuation of an HBO series and tells the story of four promiscuous, fashion-conscious gay men living and working in Manhattan. In what can only be described as a metatextually rich conceit of oddball casting, the four gay men in question are in fact portrayed on screen by three women, and one high-tech plasticine alloy-skinned cyborg built to resemble actress Kim Cattrall circa 1986. Coincidentally, has anyone seen the real Kim Cattrall lately? And if so, how's she looking? Now, I'm clearly not the audience for this sort of thing, and I know that because the media has been telling me so as part of a months-long build-up to the movie, as part of a concerted effort to make sure that any negative review coming from a male critic can be easily ignored. But I was curious to see it, if for no other reason than all the talk of Warner Brothers guarding the secret plot details. All told, I'd say they did a pretty good job of hiding them, as I've now seen the movie, and I still don't know what the plot was. Something about a wedding, shoes, and men being pigs. And please don't even fucking start. Yes, I've seen the show, but I lost interest right around the time Cattrall's character removed her head from betwixt the loins of the chick who played Theo's hot teacher on The Cosby Show. Basically, the whole thing is organized into a handful of serialized vignettes with a couple longer overarching plot lines. About once every half hour, the four main girls sit around enjoying some sort of colored liquid intoxicant and rehash the story in so far in more scatological terms than the rest of the film. In other words, it does everything in its power to feel as much as possible like a bunch of episodes crammed together all at once. Kind of like back in the 80s when they'd stick a 5-episode story arc from a cartoon or something and release it on tape as the movie. One part of the story I could follow involved the foursome discovering, after multiple seasons on the air, that there are in fact black people living in New York. So they decide to adopt one, and it turns out to be inexplicable Oscar winner for Jennifer Hudson, late at the already forgotten Dreamgirls movie and the national embarrassment known as American Idol. If I can say anything for Miss Hudson, it's that she must have something special going on, since I'm actually pretty fond of her despite wholly detesting everything she has ever appeared in professionally. The jokes are all subpar sitcom witticisms, awkwardly planted references to designer label fashion and expensive footwear stand in for character development, and there's a few attempts at sociological commentary that land with all the subtlety of a white trash culture moment in a Rob Zombie movie. It's possible I'm being a snob about the humor, but then again, I don't even think Rob Schneider would try to build 4 scenes around a don't drink the water in Mexico gag. Not that any of the dramatic business works any better. Having 4 female leads allowed the film license to do arcs about marriage, pregnancy, separation, and adultery, all based around the sins of males, either for being not good enough or too good. At one point, Cattrall's character has a big speech about the nobility of ethical self-centeredness that's supposed to sound like this edgy and postmodern thing, but mostly just comes off like Katie Morgan reciting a monologue from John Galt. Except Katie Morgan is funny and endearing, and this is just irritating. Eventually, I gave up trying to figure out why being the only man in the theater meant I was the only one not laughing at or otherwise moved by anything going on, and just accepted that the appeal here isn't the plot or anything actually happening. It's all about the faces, the catchphrases, and the iconography. The fans aren't here to watch a movie, they're here to worship an idol. This is not the much-vaunted Star Wars of chick flicks, folks. It's the Passion of the Christ. Except there's no mad Australian trying to make you hate the Jews. The only person Sex and the City wants you to hate is yourself. If you happen to be the sort of apparently sad, tragic, ordinary woman who wouldn't know a Manolo from a Manolo and might look at a Louis Vuitton bag and think, hey, that's just way too small for all my stuff. I suppose, like any venture into supposedly alien culture, the point of reflection should be if your experience has taught you anything, and in that respect, I can't call Sex and the City a total bust. For what it's worth, I learned that Chris Nilt's Mr. Big is such an animal lover that he won't even kill the 2 giant caterpillars that have taken up residence above his eyes. I learned that Cynthia Nixon looks surprisingly terrific naked, though I always kind of thought she was the underrated one in terms of hotness for the record, and I also learned that somewhere in Kim Cattrall's attic, there's a painting getting older.